Hi folks, this is Sue Bell from Network Empire, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how we look at promotional marketing. And when we talk about third-party online multi-channel marketing, we actually break those processes down into 4 different tasks as represented by this Venn diagram here. We've got promotional tasks, we've got conversational tasks, we've got branded and local tasks, and we've got media. Now, each of these represents a different kind of platform that you can put your content on, that you can use to distribute your ideas and to engage your potential clients. So let's look at these for a moment. Multimedia is by far and away the most engaging way that you can express your ideas and talk to your potential customers. This is video, audio, images, and even mobile apps, right? So these things are absolutely fantastic in and of themselves. You can, YouTube is a very popular platform to put your videos on, but the problem is that they don't get the most amount of exposure just on the multimedia platform. So we'll come back to that in a moment, okay? And you've got promotional concepts. Now traditionally this was like article marketing. This is what some things that's been very popular, like using articles.com for a very long time. But article marketing isn't as effective as it used to be, and there's a lot of new types of platforms that have popped up that I feel have taken their place. You've got things like Storify and Scoop It, which are really more magazine style. And I've noticed using articles has changed dramatically in the last 6 months, I think, to try to keep pace with those things that are popular. They've got almost a Pinterest-style engagement at this point. But they seem to have lost a lot of traction. Anyway, regardless of what your preference is, where you find your market, those are the kinds of things that we're talking about in the promotional activities. Over here you've got conversations, right? So this is where you engage with your potential customers in two-way conversations. Social groups, social networks, some of the social profiles. This is going to be things like LinkedIn groups, Yahoo groups. There's a lot of places out there where you can put your message, but aside from probably the really popular ones like Facebook and LinkedIn, you're going to want to look for really niche social exchanges that are especially germane to your services and products, because those people are going to be actively engaged in those conversations and receptive to the kinds of things that you want to say. You don't go in there and just market to those people, but you go in and you talk to them, you listen to their pains, you explain how your products can help, and then you lead them back to your blog, right? So last but not least, we've got branded and local. So these are the citations and the directories out there where this is mostly a branding thing, right? You put your information out there about your website or about your store, and you say, hey, I'm over here. It's just like a link. Maybe you can put in your feed. Usually you can put in an image, and you just fill out those profiles as much as you possibly can. They're a one-time thing. You do them and you're done. All right, so now where things really start to get interesting are in the edges, where these types of platforms bleed into each other. And media is probably one of those things that bleeds into everything else. And I think that that's where it becomes the absolute most effective. So for example, branded and local. Like for example, in Google Places and on Google Pages, you want to have your videos. You want to have videos, you want to have images, you want people to log into Google and leave their reviews. You want to get as much going on there with media as you possibly can. And that doesn't just stop with Google, although I have to say that Google's probably one of the most effective places, because the things that you put there can tend to get indexed. So when somebody actually queries your name, or for some reason Google thinks that the query is actually about your company, it's going to bring up a lot more of that multimedia type information and give them as much information about your company as they possibly can. So the more information that you've got in there, the more completely you've filled out all of the little nuances within Google, the more information that they can give those people who are searching for you. But it doesn't just stop there. It's like everywhere. If you're in Angie's List, you want to make sure that you've got a complete list of information there, wherever it is that you can, wherever it is that you've branded, you want to make sure that if there's a spot to put an image, that you have an image. The most important image you can have is some kind of a face, because people relate to people. But the second most important image you can have are images about how cool it is, whatever it is that you're doing. If you've got a product, then you want to have images about your products. If you've got a service or a store, you want to have images of people interacting. So anyway, that's the idea between media and branding, right? You want to get those two things working together as much as possible. And media with promotion, it's the same kind of an idea. You want to connect as much media with your promotional activities as you possibly can. Obviously, you can have videos and images in Storify and in Scoop It, but also think press releases, right? Press releases is one of the traditional promotional avenues. And when you go to put out a press release, you want to make sure that those are media rich and social media rich. All right, so and conversations, like one of the things that Russ talks a lot about is actually posting a video as part of your response, particularly in core, but it works just as well as in any of the groups. If you have a video or even just an image that's germane to the conversation, it makes your post stand out heads and shoulders above everybody else's. So this is where I think media is just a terrific gift to all of the marketing that you've got going on. All right, so some of the other places that overlap, where you've got things that are going on that are promotional, and you've got conversations. In the middle of that comes microblogging. So in other words, Twitter and tweeting falls into that fine line between things that you can do to promote and conversations that you can carry on. If you're going to run a Twitter account, most of the time I don't log into my Twitter accounts, but it's important for you to set up your profiles so that anybody who's trying to talk to you, you get emails back on that, so that you're aware of people trying to talk to you. So anyway, there's a few things there that kind of fall into that middle ground between promotion and conversation. And then last but not least is branded and customer reviews. So, or branded and conversations. You've got things like customer reviews that fall into that that connection there, where you've got conversations that are going on and they're talking about your company, and customer reviews can be an absolutely great thing. They can make or break a company. So whenever possible, it's a good idea to talk to people and ask them to post reviews for you. All right, so that's what this chart is all about. And the reason why for all of this came about, let me just pop another screen up here, is in Domain Web Studio, we've got an area where you can create your third-party properties. And these third-party properties, we've broken down into exactly those same kinds of things that we just talked about. And the reason we broke them down is not only because you think a little bit differently when you're posting each one of those kinds of media, but also because they need different prep on your part. So for example, when you're engaging in a conversation, you don't necessarily have any conversation or any content previously published that you're just going to go and slam into a forum somewhere. You're going to want to go find forum conversations, you're going to want to look at the blog posts that those things relate to, and then you compose on the fly a piece of, a part of that conversation and link them back to your blog, which is completely different from promotional, where you've got stuff that you're going to write and just put out there in all of the different places that you can put out there, or curate your content off your blog, that kind of thing. All right, so that's our ideas behind the third-party online multi-channel marketing categories and what you can do with them. And the cool thing about it is when you combine all four of these varieties, then and you have a plan, the way that Domain Web Studio will create for you, so that you don't absolutely lose track of what it is that you've talked about and where it is that you've been, and the important, you go someplace and you engage in a conversation and you start getting good leads off of there, and then you forget to go back and pick up that thread. That's the cool thing about Domain Web Studio, is it gives you this blueprint, 100% automated blueprint, that reminds you to go back to all of these important places and continue to engage your audience. And after you've done that for a few months, you'll find yourself everywhere, all of the time. All right, this is Sue Bell from Network Empire.